Hey, Justin.
Hey, Ram, welcome back to the States. How are you?
Thank you. I woke up at 2:30 a.m. today. I woke up at midnight the day before. So if I wake up at 3:30 tomorrow, I'm going to call that a win. If I can stay at 3:30 wake up, I think that'll be like a good steady state. I never really pulled that off consistently, but I know you're more in that vein of things. I think that is a great idea.
Yeah, I'm in the 5 a.m. club. I will tell you that my brother-in-law and my youngest brother sent me a funny meme about people who are in the 5 a.m. club and talk so much about it that they make other people want to like barf all over them.
Right.
Yeah, they're like, okay, it's enough. We know you wake up early to work out. Get over it, buddy.
That's funny. No, you know what? I like it. I like it. I think that's the way to do it. And don't let people pull you away from that. That's like we said earlier, discipline's addictive.
So it is. Haters haters are gonna hate. Exactly. Taylor Swift had it right. And I will tell you that there's just no other time in the day once you have kids, responsibilities, a business, anything that you're dedicating significant time to will chew up that kind of like 7 to 7:30 or 8 a.m. until whenever. And like breaking away to work out or meditate or walk is hard.
I want to do some Wim Hof method in the morning. I didn't get to that this morning. I woke up at 2:30. Just started. I was like, I want to get to Wim Hof. I did get to the gym at 5:30. That was awesome. That was great. Good win for the day.
So you went to the gym at 5:30, and like, let's talk about. I think there's one thing because I want to hear a lot about Dubai. But I do think there's some benefit to talking about how you deal with jet lag.
Oh my God!
And maybe does the gym work in your favor for jet lag?
Yeah, gym is definitely like the standard protocol. You exercise where you go quickly. No matter what, exercise, hydrate, avoid alcohol. Both ways, don't take alcohol on the flight, and get early morning sunlight and get afternoon and evening light. Those are like the basic strategies. I don't do the melatonin. I don't take hormones. I don't want to do that. Pushing through both ways, trying to stay awake is the hardest part. It really is. And I'm sure there's 5 tactics I'm missing in there, but that's my protocol. So.
I had an interesting conversation. Jeff Yang, who was on the podcast, the Red Point Ventures co-founder and founder of Appear on Life. We talked about how you deal with things at different ages. And one of the things he mentioned was that as you get older, sometimes for international travel, you need to show up a day early to get a little bit adjusted to the time. Whereas maybe when you're younger, 30s, you just hit the ground running and you don't worry too much about jet lag. 40s, 50s, hey, maybe you're flying a day early.
Yeah. No, people were doing that. Bruce Fenton, who organized the Satoshi Roundtable, he was doing that. That was a great. I mean, I adjusted on the last day. Not ready to go home. I got whipsawed, jet lag, whipsawed me both ways. I get whacked on the head this way and whacked on the head the other way.
Just in time to go home to your 3 young children.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly right.
So tell me a little bit about Dubai.
Dubai is wild. When you land in the airport, and the airports are caricatures of the culture. The first thing is that, okay, this is a cross between Disney and Las Vegas. And then you get to know Dubai, to see the culture and the cosmopolitan nature of it and the extraordinary wealth, although it is like a 2-tier economy. We'll come back to that. And there's this concept of golden visas, special economic zones. There's a pretty vibrant nightlife and great restaurants. But then on the way out, the thought in my head was, wait a minute, Dubai is just Disney and Vegas again. So it's full circle. You're like, it's just Disney and Vegas. I want to go home again. But it really, Abu Dhabi, which is also part of the United Arab Emirates, right? Dubai's UAE's 9 million. Dubai's like the small kind of sister city that built in the middle of a desert. It's like the third Hong Kong. Started with trade. They were not funded via oil. Oil is like 1 to 4% of their revenues. It's trade. It's cool. It's like Hong Kong is the first Hong Kong, then Singapore, then Dubai. But But yeah, no, it is an exemplar of like urban planning. Oh my God, they've been through so much. Like, here's an example. First off, there's tons and tons of space in the desert. There's tons of space, but they maintain the real estate values by controlling the land releases. That's number one. So they, the government is a tribal autocracy. Okay. We'll come back to that too. There's a lot of interesting things about Dubai. You'll get zero taxes. You'll be safe and secure. You'll have great quality of life. The cost of childcare is very cheap because of that two-tier economy, of which 90% of people in Dubai of UAE are not citizens. They're mostly from South Asia. They come in at a lower wage. It's a weird, interesting place, right? So when you get off the airport and you're driving to Dubai, it's about 45 minutes away, you see these massive billboards that are like 2 or 3 New York City blocks long. And they're 40, 50 feet high. These massive billboards. Now, the reason why they're there is they're blocking your view of the desert space behind it. It's like empty land, right? And then they put up these buildings, and when they're ready for the next building, they take on the next billboard. And they put up that.
Oh, fascinating.
It's like Blockspace. They're controlling the issuance.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of perception, but very effective and good perception. When you go, so one of the tallest buildings in the world is in Dubai, Calafia, and it was the number 1 building in the world in terms of height. Now it's number 3. You can see when you go up there, you say, oh, there's like tons of land all over the place, and they've created these artificial islands, which you probably read about at some point, right? There's some Netflix documentary around this. So they've built islands.
They look like the palm trees, and then they have some that look like the globe, right? Like
exactly. I'm going to share my screen. This is wild. So the Dutch pioneered this technique of building islands. I don't know how they do that. I asked what the cost of building this island. I met up with a buddy there. He said it's $10 billion. That seems like a little low to me, but the construction costs are this is the example. This is the palm. So driving
construction costs are low because of that two-tier economy. When you're importing labor that you're not quite that worried about their health and welfare, it drives costs down.
Exactly. So this is a map. So this is to drive from here to like here where the hotel was. That's a 35-minute drive, put in perspective. And if you're going down here,
oh wow,
yeah, this is like an avenue of Manhattan. It takes about 20 minutes to go from here to here. This is probably a less developed version of the Palm Islands. Maybe there's a better version here.
Maybe like the current Google Maps.
Yeah, so you can kind of see that it's still this is probably not it's more developed now, but it's not fully developed. You can see this other island in the distance, right? They built another palm. What's wild is like I had a meeting like here, and then another meeting like there, and unfortunately there's like no way to cross here. You got to go all the way around for 30-40 minutes. So they prioritize the aesthetics. And here, okay, remember those highways I was telling you about, right? So you see this highway.
Yeah. Is there no? I thought they were one of the early jurisdictions that had the flying taxis. Like, was there no like? I really do believe that there was.
I didn't see any flying. I mean, maybe they're there. I don't know. I didn't see the world, which you mentioned, those islands. Like, there's no construction there, so they have the land built. It's in the shape of. You can see there's South America, North America, etc. No development there. There's the airport, and on this road, they have those billboards, and then kind of controlled building and issuance is really quite something. So yeah, look, the service is better than you'll get anywhere. I mean, the service is incredible. The service is phenomenal. Like it's so good. Like you think about the service is that good. Number one, cost of raising a family there is very cheap because you can get care. You can hire servants for your family.
Yeah.
Right? Much cheaper. You can nannies, all this stuff. So the taxes are 0%. It won't work for the United States citizen because you're taxed on global income. You want a great tax strategy. go to Puerto Rico, like we talked about 1 or 2 weeks ago. Act 60, Justin will hook you up on the right lawyers and the approach and the estate plan, all the rest.
Yes.
So a lot of folks have moved there that are crypto wealthy, and they get these golden visas. They have these special economic zones within Dubai, which have additional benefits. If you're starting a bank or you run a private equity company or like a hedge fund. So
what's the situation for like women walking around?
So it's very cosmopolitan, modern. You see women that are like it's like Vegas, as I mentioned. And I mean Vegas, like, it gets seedy in the night in Dubai. It gets a bit seedy.
Okay.
It's classy seedy, if that makes any sense.
I think I understand what you mean. But there's not like a requirement that women wear burqas in Dubai.
No, definitely, absolutely not. For sure not. Now, the funny thing is, Sharia law governs Dubai, and there's alcohol. Now, if you're caught using drugs, that is a serious offense. If you're caught stealing, I lost my Bose headphone. I left it on breakfast table the last day of my trip, and I remembered it 9 hours later. And someone said, "Oh, don't worry, they'll still be there. No one will steal anything here. You might get your hands chopped off." I don't know what but like, it's serious. So, but it is. You won't find policemen on like blocks, but the response time is very high. Like, they will show up quickly. They're in the squad cars. The squad cars are really nice, by the way. I don't know what luxury car, but they're nice.
Yeah, if you have a Lamborghini Aventador to get you from point A to point B, you're gonna get there fastest.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Ubers are all like Lexuses, and I mean, they're all really nice cars. Like, and by the way, the Ubers show up like within a minute. I mean, the services are phenomenal. I mean, just consistently phenomenal. And I call it's like tasteful opulence. It's not decadent, it's tasteful. It's like you see the luxury, you feel the luxury, but it's not gaudy. It's just at the right level of tolerance. What else? Yeah, and it's South Asian. So you hear languages like Hindi. It's actually the primary language, even though like 90% of them are not actually local or citizens. Oh, guess what? So they have no their fiscal spending is on track because they don't have much debt. The debt they have is used to fund these islands, which they then sell. It's like the tribal family that runs it. They're basically business people.
Yeah,
they set the law, and they generate revenue by borrowing. They invest. They build like an island, and then they auction it off, like the Blockspace, right? That's the only use of debt. There's no entitlements. There's no social programs. So it's one of the fastest growing cities globally. And, you get a golden visa, you got to qualify. Basically, you got to you're paying your own way if you're there. It is like arch capitalism in that other sense. So it's autocracy and capitalism coming in, not unlike the Singapore model, obviously with a different approach, right? So, yeah, it's quite something. Obviously, you don't want to be critical of the government. I mean, look, you have private conversations all the time, and that's generally not a topic anyway. People talk about what's in front of them, right? So, yeah, really interesting place for sure.
Had you been there before?
No, that was first time.
Would you go again?
Yeah, like I would go again only for the conference, which I thought was very high quality.
Mm-hmm.
To meet and reconnect with quite a few just phenomenal people in the crypto space and early Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other investors. It was just phenomenal in that sense, and picked up a few themes and some alpha that we'll be implementing. I'm really excited about that. I'd go again for the conference. I don't know if like Dubai per se. Abu Dhabi, I had like a few hours there. Abu Dhabi's like an hour away. Went to the Louvre Museum. It's owned by the same entity as the Louvre in Paris. Abu Dhabi is like a classier city. It's very classy, and there are a lot of wealthy Americans, Europeans that have places in Abu Dhabi. That's where they primarily would live. That's the classier spot. Dubai is Vegas, Disney. Abu Dhabi is like Bar Harbor, was the analogy that someone kind of ascribed to
Oh,
Abu Dhabi.
interesting.
Yeah, that's the vibe there. So really interesting. Sheiks know how to roll. So there are multiple sheiks, but they're a big family. So if you're at a large dinner with a sheik, you might be lucky enough to have the sheik foot the bill for everyone. That's a fun little thing. That doesn't happen in New York City. The mayor of New York would never do that. So the sheiks know how to roll. There's like the sheik lifestyle. Like if you go to some of these hotels, you might find like dozens of women poolside just hanging out. Like a sheik might be around. It doesn't seem to be like a sexual thing, by the way. I tried to probe on that. I also got like an ixnay on asking questions about the sheik thing, by the way. So I was like, all right, gotcha. That's probably all I'll say about that here too. So
yeah, I think it's a, don't rock the boat kind of.
Like the whole, there's a definitely, it's culturally very interesting to try to make sense of. And the quality of life is phenomenal. Like if you have I posted some photos on Twitter. I mean, these people have like amazing studio apartments launch like marinas, and I mean, parts of it remind me like Brickell in Miami, where you have the high rises and the water, and
sure,
modern and it's clean. So overall, no, it was great. It was quite something. I mean, they really are just differentiating as they see it in their country versus the United States, and attracting wealthy, successful entrepreneurs that just want to reduce their taxes and build something, and have like affordable care. And you have private insurance, all private insurance.
It's interesting because I've never been, so this is all relatively uninformed, but as I think about it and hear your description and others who have been, I think of the differences that a society can have when it develops at a different time. And so, for instance, if you think about infrastructure as one, countries that never had to go with landlines and dial-up internet and went straight to Wi-Fi and mobile kind of leapfrogged certain technological steps that, some of the Western European and United States went through. And so you think culturally there's some things that Dubai equally gets to leapfrog, right? Like they get to just say, hey, we're not going to have a social network or like social safety net. So we'll just entice millionaires and richer to come live here. But when you're a country that's much more established and already have a kind of a working government and a social safety network, you can't really just say, hey, we're going to like change the whole dynamics of the country.
It attracts a different population for sure. But I will say, like, I want to be clear, like there are many founders there from UK, from Switzerland, from India. They don't want to have the tax and have the capital appreciation tax in that way. And again, the quality of care is phenomenal. And the education is phenomenal too. So it is, it's quite something. It is money. It does. I think Balaji is right in the point that like the US could not build construction at that cost, at that quality, at that rate of time. I mean, what they've built, Dubai really didn't exist 20 years ago. It was like mostly desert. Incredibly rapid development.
Well, if you look historically at the development projects that the United States had, when we did massive development projects, whether that was the Continental Railroads or other massive infrastructure projects, we had the same model where we were importing foreign labor that we did not care about and did not allow to have the same rights as U.S. citizens. And so whether it was the Chinese building the railroads and then being told, you're out, or it's Southeast Asians being permitted to come into Dubai, but being paid not even a living wage.
Well, they're getting, that's a phenomenal point you raised, by the way. It's an excellent, I will say, so they're getting paid more. They have a much better lifestyle than they would have at home, just to be clear, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely a two-tier economy, right? So their income is higher than it would be in their native country. So we should pull it up. We should ask Bard like what their wages are there. I didn't look into that.
It's Gemini Ultra.
Oh yeah, Gemini Ultra, exactly. They're rebranding. I love it. So is too is interesting about that importing, like, because you think about like the U.S. and the immigration and this and that, and this, like, is there a strategy? Because you need low cost labor for childcare, for care of the elderly. By the way, the other thing is they import a bunch of nurses from Philippines. And the U.S. doesn't do that, by the way. The U.S. doesn't have like a visa framework that encourages that from the Philippines. So they're importing talent in a way that matches their needs. Obviously,
yeah, that's really critical. I mean, that's one of the things that we're very schizophrenic about in our country, because we have very clear demand for certain work, and yet we're hiding behind certain narratives that don't permit us to admit that, listen, there's certain labor that we need in this country to keep strawberry prices where they are.
Yeah.
If you want to pay double or triple for a pint of strawberries, sure, then we can pay higher wages. But until that's the case, the market economy is saying that we want low-cost wage workers to do this. I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but we're not really being honest about what's going on.
It's complicated. Country. Certainly, like, policy is complicated, but certainly, yeah, like we need. Look, if childcare is expensive, well, how do you reduce the cost of childcare? You reduce the cost of wages. How do you do that? You attract. By Philippines, the largest per capita growth rate of like nurses. The world is short nurses. The United States is short nurses massively. That's why we invest in APEI. That's small cap stock. They train nurses.
Oh yeah, massively underserved need. I mean, if you're in a community that has a lot of child care for two working parents, the percentage of people that are Filipino also is extremely high, because they also have an economy that's based on people leaving their country, taking jobs like that, and sending money back, because the wages are so much higher in other countries. So
yeah, and they figured out how to control the crime. Look, I mean, it's a different system there. We'll leave it at that, right? So look, there are legitimate concerns on all that stuff, of course, and the U.S. has to assimilate and make sure the cultural integration is there, of course, and I think values are important values. And we got to get it right. But anyway, we can move past immigration.
Can I share one thing about the crime, though? Because I hadn't brought this up to you. You were away when this happened. What happened? My wife was at the mall the other day when she was at one of the stores that experienced this like strategic theft, where they knew that the security guards in the mall don't stop anybody short of a certain dollar figure. So she was like literally standing in a store, I think it was Zara, maybe something like that, and people just stormed in and just grabbed a bunch of clothes and just like ran out. And she like looked and she saw like security guards, and they just stood there.
This is a shopping mall, or was it
a shopping mall?
What city was it in, if I might ask?
It might technically be Bethesda, Maryland, or
an upscale city. It's an upscale town.
Yeah. And I've heard a lot of these stories at places like CVS in San Francisco. Oh, yeah. They have them in CVS in DC too, where they know that the policy is such that they will not interfere when theft doesn't cross like $1,000 or something. It's just created a really weird system. I'm not saying that somebody should be losing their hand, where that leads to no crime, but I will say that we've gone too far the other way right now.
Yeah, we got to have accountability and enforcement of laws and property rights. What the heck, right? Part of it is, these norms are fragile, right? And culture can shift. People learn from someone else's behavior, then they copy, paste, apply it, and that's a major issue. And like in Dubai, they don't have that issue. It's not even a meme in someone's brain that can happen. So the costs of providing security are lower because people have a shared norm. And that's a big concern. Yes. That's a big concern here, right? Like Target, they report single-digit rates of shrinkage. That's a big deal. Like the net profit margin for these retailers is single-digit, right? Dollar Tree,
yes.
Shrinkage is like obviously theft, right? It's we got to clean up stuff here.
it's a bizarre situation that we're encountering right now in our country, and I definitely it's feeding into very strange cultural narratives where all of a sudden policing certain petty crimes even has become political, and you're like,
no sense.
this really shouldn't be political. Like,
Right.
this one's not political.
We were talking about like discipline is addictive. That as you can tell, that phrase echoes in my head quite often since I heard that one. Discipline starts with oneself. Really starts with parents, actually, as you grow up. They say this is right, this is wrong. They create discipline, they create structure around you. Then hopefully they pass the spark so you can have that internal discipline. But some people either take advantage or maybe never obtain that, and you still need public guardrails to ensure there's discipline, if not nothing else, for public safety, or so we can do business, not have to have these. Man, what a mess.
So let's go back. Let's go back to personal discipline in a health and wellness sense, because you did something super interesting that I want to hear about in Dubai. Tell me about this.
So it's cool. NAD. So there's an entrepreneur
What is NAD for?
So NAD is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. It's a coenzyme. Oh, I got my Google screen up here. It's present in all living cells. It declines as you age. It's a marker of aging. It's produced endogenously in the body. Declines when you age. And it supports energy metabolism. We all need more energy. DNA repair. You need more after 27. You need more energy. DNA repair, cellular signaling pathways, regulating functions like cell survival, stress response, and aging. And you can take it orally, and there's less bioavailability because you ingest it. You can take it sublingually under your tongue or intravenously. And we need more random clinical control data on what's most efficacious, but seems to me that intravenous is the best way to go. That's what these guys believe. It's contentious. Like competitors would say, no, you don't need that anyway. So the science got to figure that out. So yeah, this guy was offering NAD, entrepreneur. By the way, you can't offer drugs in Dubai. It's illegal, so it's not offered. It's a private arrangement that complies with local law. So,
yeah. Like, I don't know if it qualifies as a drug per se.
I'll tell you something really funny though. I met this crypto degen. He introduced himself as an angel investor. We had dinner. 2.5 hours later, we're like best buddies. He tells me how to create this wealth. This is a fun digression story. So he lives in Moscow. This guy's amazing. He was selling motherboards at this like retail, like the equivalent of Radio Shack. Guy says, I want like 10 motherboards. Says, why? So I'm mining Bitcoin. He says, how does that work? Because I'll show you. So he shows him how to mine Bitcoin, mines it, and sells it for like $8. So it's way back in the day. So he starts mining some Bitcoin and sells it all, gets some cash, forgets about it. 5 years goes by, maybe 4 years goes by. I think it's 2016. He walks into his luxury car dealer. Another guy rolls up and he buys like this just ridiculous car, fully loaded. Just like a scene from the movie Wolf of Wall Street. You know that scene in the diner where he's like, he just stops and says, what do you do? So yeah, so what do you do? He says, oh, yeah, I'm a crypto investor. My Bitcoin, invest in crypto. And he says, okay. So at this point in time, my new friend now, he had a small shop selling imported Chinese products like souvenirs, etc. He sold that. The whole shop. So I'm gonna get into crypto now. And he starts learning, starting how to like invest and trade. And he got like first round Polygon Matic, some other things, did really well with that. Family office hired him to do crypto investing for a few years, and he kind of struck out on his own. So true degen, but incredible story. This is a guy that created like $20 million in wealth, lost 50% on the way, made it back. It's a wild story about that. Maybe we'll have him on sometime, but from like humble beginnings in Moscow to extraordinary, wealth, rolling out with like the Louis Vuitton shades and like sneakers I would never recognize, Really funny though, really funny. So okay, NAD. Oh, yeah, I mentioned that because so he's quite introverted. So what he would do to network with other people at the conferences, they'd have these NAD sessions, and he would kind of roll up, and there'd be a group of people sitting in chairs with an IV drip and just hanging out because it takes about an hour and a half to receive the NAD. And so he would go like every day. So he was loading up on NAD every day. Anyway, I got one treatment of NAD. The hotel in will offer it. By the way. The hotel offers it for $1,000. It's like a standard service. These guys offer it complimentary, and they have their own like NAD product, which is very high quality, so they say, and they're credible based on what I've learned about them today. Okay, during that experience. So, nurse, she shows up and she, puts an IV drip here, and the IV drip is connected to a solution consisting of saline and then 500 milligrams of NAD, and it drips into your system over the course of about an hour, 15 minutes. Every 5 to 8 minutes, there's like this heat that builds up that's uncomfortable, and they have to stop the drip, and then you can resume it. People have different experiences. Some people never feel that. Some people that might be intolerable for them. It was mild discomfort for me, but that's the experience. I posted some photos online about it.
And how did you experience any positive or negative impact later?
So the next day, I was totally jet lagged. It was hard to sleep. I slept like a baby that night. Finally, like really great sleep. I woke up and had a lot of energy. I felt like I was like 27 years old. Like sometimes, that feeling like you just have that energy. Like I need to go like crush a rock or something. So I was like, I need to like go to the gym now. But it wasn't like frenetic excess energy. It was an inspired energy from within. It was like a controlled energy, if that makes sense.
It does. I have a high energy drive. I feel that a lot of times.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. So I got to Justin.
By the way, I wake up early.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was great. So my drive and focus was on. I was like plowing through stuff. It was great. Now, is that cause and effect? I don't know. Could be correlated. I don't know. I do believe it had an impact. I've been sleeping well.
Even if it's just, a psychosomatic effect, that's great too.
I think it is real. I think it's legitimate. I intend to try it again every 30 days. I'm trying to find a nurse that can administer it for me. I'm going to reach out to these people to get consistent supply. You need a prescription for it, which isn't that hard to obtain. So yeah, I'm going to give that a shot. I believe the biomechanics of it, I suppose, right? If you like study what's going on, like, okay, yeah, it supports mitochondrial function. Mitochondria is everything. It's your energy.
Yeah.
And when mitochondria start going dysfunctional, bad things happen. Right.
That's right.
Diabetes, cancer, cells that are like zombie cells that create inflammation. So I buy that thesis. So I intend to do it more. We're also investing in this stuff now, by the way. I've been doing research. There's an early trend, right? Like 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, when people are talking about this, that trend's at its peak. People are investing more in longevity. People are investing in supplements, end-of-life care, all sorts of care, right? Anything to get like a performance improvement as well. I don't do nootropic. We talked about that before, but I think this one's interesting because, like, hey, like if I can combat aging by intervening on this signaling pathway, then why not? Why not do that?
Yeah.
There are treatments like stem cells. People at the conference had experimented. I've not done that before. That's another experiment. Maybe at some point we try to do. So the other thing,
I know a fair number of people. I was going to say I know a fair number of people that have gone overseas for stem cell related to certain joint injuries, and they've all reported incredible results when they've had elbow, knee, wrist problems, and there's just like much more development and scientific rigor behind those treatments in certain Western European countries over the United States because of the kind of policy debates we've had around the use of stem cells.
Right. Yeah, stem cells are a thing now. Like placentas are valuable now. Save your placenta if you have a child. All that. Placentas there's like a market for placentas. It costs $700 plus or minus to have your placenta saved after childbirth. But the market value, maybe not in the United States for the reasons you discussed. I don't know enough about the placenta market, but they're worth a lot given the stem cell concentration. Really, really interesting. The other thing that came up there is I was at this longevity panel. This one guy, entrepreneurs love longevity and wellness and all this stuff, right? Founders, and yeah, so do we. It's like, hey, let's do this. This one guy, he's taking peptides. I'm like, what the hell is a peptide? So peptides an amino acid, and they have different numbers. Like peptide AOD. I'll get the number wrong. I've got it on a Google document here. I can pull it out. These are peptides that trigger certain processes in your body. One is fat burning, and another is like protein synthesis. Really interesting. So, yeah, he injects them in himself via his stomach. So it's not like you take a pill and you got a peptide. No. It's the same. You could do it intravenously as well. You don't need to. You have to do the NAD intravenously because if you did an intramuscular injection, it would be overwhelming to your body. Like the NAD would be so much too fast. Like that symptom I described, the heat building up, it would be, you got to take it step by step. You got to do it over the course of like an hour, right? But peptides, you can just do intramuscular and you're good. So,
and what prompts you to say, I want to try some type of peptide? What are people experiencing that they say, I need some type of intervention to help me do what?
So one is weight loss, fat loss. So everyone was aware of like the Novo, Ozempic, and Eli Lilly's drugs. Like they know them for the molecule name, right? And they said, well, I have symptoms, I have nausea. And by the way, they're peptides that mimic or are identical to what Ozempic is. It has a special name, like Segula. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's an S. So you can get that in the peptide format. It's much cheaper than what you would pay for the branded version. That's one. The second is, fat loss, but through a different mechanism where you don't have these negative symptoms. Some people experience nausea. And the third is like protein synthesis. But it's kind of like, what
was the third? I couldn't hear that.
Like protein synthesis. Or also testosterone, like there's a way to increase the size. But think about it this way: it's like there are hundreds of these peptides, and people try to figure out what matches to what they're trying to accomplish.
Interesting. So I'm probably not the poster child for any of these things because I fall back on just eat fewer calories
right
than you are burning and take a longer time to do it in a healthy fashion. I get that some people are dealing with obesity or diabetes and they need one of these medical interventions to help them, and I'm all in favor of people getting treatment for diseases and acute or chronic situations. But my firm belief is that most people could just get their ass in the gym and watch what they eat, and they're going to get long-term sustainable results.
I would say, a few things. Like fasting's the best. You're going to lose weight, just don't eat, and you will lose weight. And by the way, you get all sorts of other wonderful benefits, cognitive benefits. It's incredible. Anti-diabetes. So fasting is the way to go for sure. But psychologically, it's hard for people to do that. These are just hacks, right? But here are the peptides that this guy was saying: BPC 157, AOD 9604, and then the third is Semorelin, Semorelin. So do your own research, do your own homework, not medical advice. But they have another issue is like Novo's product. If you stop taking these GLPs, then you gain the weight back, and also you lose muscle when you take them. So that's another benefit of these peptides. But we need more data on all that. So that's what that's the cutting edge of what people are doing. I might try. I don't know. Like that last one sounds interesting. I don't know.
So from you did the DEXA scan, right? And are you thinking of like doing it again and then having a plan to say, I'm going to try X, Y, or Z between now and then to see the effectiveness?
Yeah, I'll do my DEXA scan in a few months. But yeah, like if I can accelerate with some peptides that do some fat loss, I'll try it out. Why not? You know, I'm less about like, okay, here's like my 8-step plan. Like, am I going to the gym regularly? Am I making better choice from what I eat? And am I fasting on a weekly or monthly periodic basis? Am I not eating late at night? Am I like, I have my standing desk now, right? Am I trying to make your decisions on the margin? It's kind of how I'm approaching it. And then I'll do my, blood test every quarter. I'm due for that now. Measure my lipids and see how I'm vectoring in the right way. But these peptides can be interesting. Nice little, if you can accelerate fat loss, that's great. I mean, it reduces inflammation. I mean, there's so many benefits from fat loss.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think that's great. I would just encourage you to also, as hard as it is, track calories. For me, tracking calories was easier than fasting. Fasting doesn't work well for my body.
Right.
But I never fully appreciated how many calories I was consuming until I actually wrote down the numbers. And you have a mindset of like, oh, I'm eating pretty healthy, right? But you don't realize where those calories come from.
Snacking is the worst. Snacking is like all the calories hide. And well, this was fun, man. Good catching up. I know we both have to run here, but we chatted about Dubai and NAD. It's part of our longevity investment theme. We got a couple different components on the including biotech, and aging demographics feeds into that theme as well. So that was fun.
Share those the peptide numbers on Twitter so that I can follow and see what those are.
Yeah, I'll post that in the thread underneath this post.
Perfect.
Twitter. I'm gonna put it. I can just put it right here, right now, in the comments. There we go. Boom. It should be in all of those places now. I'll check. So yeah, fun. Yeah, we gotta learn more about that. We gotta learn more about what this is about, and maybe interview someone at some point and see what's going on. Peptides. I don't think Ricky talked about peptides, so
we'll have to take a little look. Maybe he has. Maybe Huberman has. Well,
yeah, I'm sure Huberman has. So more to come on peptides.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
The journey continues. All right, man.
All right.
Have a great weekend. Be well.
You too. Bye-bye.